Line unmuted.
Good evening and a happy November to you. Welcome to the November 4th Marion City Council Workshop. We're going to begin this evening with our Pledge of Allegiance. I will ask that Councilman Haynes please lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you, Councilman. Let the record reflect that all members are present and accounted for this evening. We're going to begin with our review of the minutes of the October 7th and October 13th meetings. Are there any comments on the minutes as presented? All are satisfied? Very good. They will be up for approval on Monday evening. Next, I'd like to make public a proclamation. This is the celebration of Municipal Government Works Month. Bear with me, I'm going to bore you with my reading. Whereas the city of Taneytown was established in 1754, and whereas the city of Taneytown is one of 157 municipalities incorporated in the state of Maryland, and whereas the mayor and city council recognize and celebrate that municipal government represents the most responsive level of government, allowing citizens to have direct access to elected officials, and whereas in an effort to educate citizens about municipal government and the importance of their participation, the city of Taneytown is proud to promote municipal government awareness, and whereas municipalities have enhanced the quality of life for their respective residents, maintaining natural and historic sites and structures, and helping to make Maryland a great place to live, work, play, and explore. And now therefore be it proclaimed that the mayor and city council of the city of Taneytown, Maryland, hereby joins the Maryland Municipal League in declaring November to be Municipal Government Works Month in Taneytown, signed this 4th day of November in the year of our Lord 2020, and of the founding of the city of Taneytown, the 266th. I will attach my signature to such. November is Municipal Government Works Month. This is when we celebrate all the work that municipalities do around the state of Maryland. In a normal year, we will be doing activities, visiting schools, helping educate students about municipal government. Obviously, things are a little different this year with schools being the way that they are. However, the flag is flying in front of City Hall as you drive by. Give it a quick salute, and it is Municipal Government Works Month. With that, I'm going to ask the council if they have any conflicts of interest on anything on the agenda this evening.
No, sir.
No, sir.
No one is conflicted about this. Very good. Moving into our resolutions, ordinances, and agreements. On the original agenda, there was an Ordinance 07-2020 Park Impact Fee that did not make it out before this meeting. Therefore, it will be delayed until next month. Up for adoption on Monday evening will be Resolution 2020-12. This is the water allocation for November of 2020. Any questions, comments, concerns from the council regarding our water allocation? All right, if we are satisfied, we shall then move on. I'm going to ask our city manager. Do you have a report for us this evening, sir?
I do. Just a few updates. Under capital projects, well, I've been treating that more as the actual capital improvement program review. I did want to give you an update. We do have some projects that are moving forward that were funded this year. One of those is our belt filter press, also known as the dewatering project. So that is moving forward. CDM Smith is approaching 90% completion on the design phase, and we have entered the Carroll County site development review process. So that project is moving along, and after all these years, we're finally replacing the belt filter press. Moving on, City Hall, obviously, we're back to regular operations. Everybody that belongs here in the building has been moved back, and folks have settled in nicely. It's good to have the finance department all back together again in one office, and that's working very well for them. We did hold a ribbon cutting. I know a few of you were able to attend on the 23rd, and it was attended by some state dignitaries as well, and county. And so it was a nice, although brief, kind of modest COVID limited celebration, but we did want to do something to mark the City Hall reopening. Trevanian Terrace Stormwater Retrofit Project. Final plans are showing a less than expected or less than originally expected amount of fill to be removed from the site. So with that being the case, we're not sure that Memorial Park is going to be used as a fill site. We're leaving that up to the bidders. If they think they can deliver a lower price by using Memorial Park, they will have that option, but they won't be obligated to use it. So that is a bit of a change from what we had expected initially with that project. And as that moves forward, we'll keep you informed. And that's really about it for the general items for me this month. If anybody has questions, I'd be happy to answer.
All right, I'll open it up to council. Do you have any questions for the city manager on his report this evening? Councilman Vigliotti, go ahead.
More of a general question, I guess. I mean, we had talked a little while ago about maybe doing some kind of formal ribbon cutting for the O'Brien Street Bridge, and I was just wondering if we had made any decision on that as to whether or not we would do that.
We have not made any decision on that or discussed it any further at this point. With kind of the weather going the way it is now, I think we may have missed a window for that. But I think we could, Mr. Weeperk and I will discuss that a little further and see if there's an option for that. But thank you for bringing that up this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Anyone else questions for city manager or regarding the departmental reports as they were presented to you? Councilman Vigliotti?
Sorry, thank you again, Mr. Mayor. I notice in Kevin's report for Department of Public Works, on item number 6, the well levels, he's talking about recommending or considering the elevating of the current restrictions on water consumption to mandatory versus voluntary. And I was just wondering if that was something we were going to do, and if so, when we would do that. Thank you.
I appreciate it. I'm going to start with an answer, then I'm going to pass it over to Mr. Weeperk on it. We've been discussing it. I personally don't have a sense of urgency on it at this moment. Looking at some of the wells, we have asked that the county look into one of the wells to particularly see why there's such a drastic drop in its pumping level. My understanding from smarter people than I is that they actually have an observation well nearby to that, so they're somewhat familiar with the area that it's in. But we're giving them some information to look into, and then they're going to report back. Things have not improved with the pumping depths. They've not particularly gotten a whole lot worse, but they're not improving. We obviously did get some rain last week, probably not sufficient enough to really make a dent in this. But it is being looked at, and staff has mentioned that we may need to go into mandatory. Mr. Weeperk, do you have anything to add to that?
No, just that we do check well levels on a daily basis, so we can certainly stay on top of that. And if we see anything that gives us more of a sense of urgency, again, a reminder that the water restrictions are done by executive order. So should that become necessary, Meadowlands can enact that without having to call a special meeting of council. So we'll just stay on top of it day by day.
Yep. And I'll let you know if that does come about. I'll let you know when I put that directive out there. Okay. Any other questions? Yep. Any other questions of departmental reports from the council? All right. If everyone is good, we shall move on. Mr. Gullo, do you have anything for a legal report this evening?
I do. Two things. First, let me apologize to the council. The reason that you are not talking about the park impact fee tonight is that my review of the ordinance took longer than we expected, and it didn't get done in time for you to have a good review. So that's going to be corrected, so you have some time to look at it next month, and everybody will be on board. The second thing is, on Monday night after our normal council meeting, I'm going to ask that you guys make a motion to adjourn into a closed session for legal. We have more news or information on our ongoing discussions with the Maryland Department of the Environment. We have several pending issues with them, and we had briefed you on them several months ago, and we need to update you on them in a little general sense, just so you know where it's heading, and we might be having more closed sessions in the future to talk about the specifics. So recall, I don't know how we'll do that technically, but somebody will tell you whether we're signing off and logging back in or what, but be prepared for that on Monday evening. That's it.
All right, thank you, sir. Any questions for Mr. Gullo on the legal report? All right, so keep in mind Monday evening, we do intend to have a closed session to discuss that. Moving on to old business left over from last month. It was requested by council that we see some numbers regarding the city manager's annual leave payout for this year with the abundance of time that he's built up. To City Clerk Clara, have you been able to get any numbers together for him at this point?
I gave those to Mr. Weeprecht earlier today.
Okay. Let's watch the city manager scramble while he finds that.
You know, Mr. Mayor, while Jim is looking for the number, I was just thinking about this. If I could ask Jay a question about the potential for the virtual closed session. You'd mentioned that we're going to have to look into the parameters of that, but I would guess that we would still have to have an advance notice before, however it is we have to do that on Monday night, right?
Right. What I was referring to was the fact that normally we're in our normal session like this and the public leaves and we just continue in closed session. However, in a virtual setting, we're all sometimes not too sure exactly how things are working. So it may be something where we just all log off and then log back in. And that way the administrator can make sure that they're only letting us back into the room for the discussion. Something like that. That's what I meant.
That makes sense. I mean, do you know, and again, I don't mean to catch you off guard here, but I'm just genuinely curious about this myself. I mean, has this kind of thing been done before, or is the circumstance that we find ourselves in necessitating that we have to reconsider how everything works anyways with this?
No, this is pretty routine. The new ground that we'll eventually have to cross is if you all ever want to have in-person meetings with the public excluded, but how they can still participate in a public meeting if they're excluded from the room because of COVID concerns. And then the secondary thing is if we have in-person meetings and some of you elect not to be there, we're going to have to address how we deal with that as far as like quorum issues and things like that. So so when we ever decide to do that, right now, I think we were talking about it's either all or nothing. We're all either going to come back or we're not going to come back. But if we decide to do something different, there are some things that we're going to have to address. So,
thank you very much.
And while we're on that topic, Dan Dennis and I have talked about technology-wise things that we need to look at going forward as we continue offering a stream of our meetings to the public even after the pandemic is over. And then also if we go into a hybrid type of meeting. So there's we're looking at some options there as well. Technology that we probably should have done years ago to keep up with the times, but I think we might finally get up into at least the 90s of technology and maybe get us there. Maybe early 2000s. Let's check in with Mr. Wieprick. Mr. Wieprick, have you had any success, or do you want to?
I apologize. You can see my lovely white backdrop. I did my papers for myself behind my lovely white backdrop. At any rate, at the end of the year, I will have 271.88 hours of unused leave. I can carry over 80 of those, so that leaves 191. And my current hourly rate is $42.74. So that comes out to be $8,200.95.
Okay, so to the council, what I'm going to kind of put in front of you is whether you want to do a payout, or maybe we want to simply allow him to carry more over, give him an extra 6 months on some of that time. It's kind of some options there. It doesn't all necessarily have to be monetary. I believe that his ability to take time off will improve as his previous position gets filled. That's going to help. He won't be wearing as many hats. I know he's been taking time off here or there, but I think my suggestion to the council would be that we consider some sort of extension or allowing him to carry over most, if not all of that time to next year. So is there any discussion on that this evening? Mayor Pro Tem Foster, go ahead. You are muted, ma'am.
I talked with Jim earlier today about this, and in addition to his annual leave, he has an exorbitant amount of comp time.
I believe at last note it was around 600 hours. It's still in that range.
No, try doubling that and some. But anyway, he has more than he's going to be able to use comp time.
Right.
Or carry over. If he uses comp time, then we get back into this situation with his annual leave.
Right.
If he uses his annual leave, that leaves all of his comp time on the books. Jim and I spoke about it, and I suggested to him that he develop some sort of, since all of this falls outside of what is normally allowed in the employee handbook, I suggested that he develop, if you will, an emergency plan. Doesn't have to be anything like the handbook. It could be some addendum to the handbook, a couple of pages, that would only apply to these certain situations and what we will and will not do. I'm going to suggest that we pay him out his annual leave, and he do his best to get that number down for the comp time. In the interim, I suggested that by the first of the year, he should develop such a plan with some definite rules that apply across the board to all departments, and we work from there. I also offered to help him if he needed me to help develop this plan. It is his annual leave. He didn't get to use it. I don't think we have a choice but to pay him out.
Okay. Anyone else from council like to weigh in? No? Councilman Vigliotti, go ahead.
Oh, but Councilman Haynes had raised his hand before I did a little while ago. I wanted to make sure that he didn't want to say something first.
I'm sorry, I took my eyes away from the screen. Councilman Haynes.
Thanks, but no, it's okay. Mayor Pro Tem kind of, I would be echoing her anyway. I was going to suggest that we do maybe a combination of the two where carry over some, pay out a little bit. So I think that's an excellent idea, paying out the annual leave and then working to chip away at the comp time. But that's all.
Very good. Councilman Bigliotti, you have the floor.
Oh, thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. I was going to actually say something very similar, so I'm in agreement with Mayor Pro Tem Foster, and I just want to say thank you to Jim for sticking with us and for doing the exorbitant amount of work that he has done to help tide us through everything that we've been through. So, Jim, thank you for that, and that's it from me.
Very good. Anyone else have input, suggestions?
Yes, I do, Mr. Mayor. I like Diane, what you've mentioned and recommended. I believe we should pay him out, and I'm pretty much on the fence also about paying his comp time as well. Just keep it clean, keep it steady for each employee going forward. I mean, hopefully this COVID thing goes away. Who knows? We may very well be back in the same situation with all the employees, civilian and police. So it's just something we have to deal with. It's we didn't ask for it. Here it is, and let's make it go away.
Mayor Pro Tem Foster.
That is exactly why I mentioned coming up with an addendum to the employee handbook that addresses such situation, public disasters, pandemics, because quite frankly, I think we're going to be in this for another year. We don't need to be making it up as we go along. We need to have something on paper.
All right. I know there is talk of some other proposed ideas for the employee handbook. So we're kind of in that territory already. So we can incorporate that as well. Anyone else want to throw anything in this evening? All right. If not, we'll be seeking a decision Monday evening on what we do. Give it some thought. Whatever it is, try to jot it down and be rather clear with it so we're not throwing darts at a board. So, okay? Very good. Nothing else in old business. We'll move into our new business. We have our monthly financial report. Any questions or comments from the council on the financials? All right, everyone is satisfied. We'll move into the accounts payables. Any comments or questions regarding the payables as presented this evening? All right. Hearing none, that's all the business we have for the evening. So with nothing else, I will seek a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
And a second, please.
Second.
All right, we have a motion from Mayor Pro Tem Foster and a second from Councilman Haynes to adjourn for the evening. All in favor signify with your thumbs up. Anyone opposed? I thought not. We are adjourned. See you Monday evening.
Night, everybody.
Good night.